Hi, everybody. Welcome to Your Questions, Your Money. I'm Dagan McDowell.
And I'm Liz McDonald. For the next hour, we're talking entrepreneurship in America, obstacles and opportunities if you own a business or want to start one. Call us with your questions. The number to reach us at is 877-249-9626, or you can email us at feedback@foxbusiness.com.
So let's get you up to speed on what's been going on this very big day. Early this morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, legendary investor Warren Buffett released his annual letter to investors, to shareholders. And guess what? He's human. 2008 was his worst year ever at Berkshire Hathaway. The company's book value per share falling 9.6%, the biggest decline since he took over Berkshire Hathaway in 1965, but we've been going through the numbers, and we went through the...
Yeah, you know what's interesting, Dagan? Went from $44 billion at the beginning of the year to $24 billion because he took stakes in all sorts of businesses like Wrigley's, Goldman Sachs, GE. He in his folksy way, he likes to speak in plain English. He said by year-end, investors of all stripes, bloodied and confused as small birds straight into a badminton game. There you see the return on Berkshire Hathaway down dramatically. I think it's down about 45%, right, Dagan?
45% on the B shares. That is the total return over the past year. It's roughly in line with the S&P 500. But again, he doesn't, as we pointed out with the book value that we just down 9.6%, he doesn't focus on the stock price. That's not what he talks about. Right. But he's human, and he admits his mistakes. And if you can go through this letter and read it again, even though he doesn't see better times ahead in the next year, he still is upbeat, talks about everything that the government we've been through as a nation throughout our history, and he does fess up to his mistakes. He talks about a real foul up, ConocoPhillips. He bought a large amount of ConocoPhillips stock when oil and gas prices were near their peak. I in no way anticipated the dramatic fall in energy prices. I still believe the odds are good that oil sells for far higher in the future. But so far, I've been dead wrong. Even if prices should rise, moreover, the terrible timing of my purchase has cost Berkshire several billion dollars.
That's right. And what he's doing now, being a value investor, he's saying to the viewers and investors across the country, look, 2008 was a shambles. 2009 probably won't get any better. Right now, it's not so much about, picking the stocks. It's about protecting yourself from major catastrophes. Remember, he's also, come up through the insurance world. He knows a lot about protecting portfolios and protecting his investments as well. Dagan.
What people looking for protection in treasuries, he says, treasury bonds are in a bubble. That's one of the things he talks about in the letter. Also, but you talked about him being a value investor. This is what he has lived for. Alice Schroeder, his biographer, said that this was the opportunity that he really waits for all his life.
Right.
Equating it being a mosquito at a nudist colony?
A nudist colony, that's right. He's taking interesting stakes in, bonds of Harley Davidson, Tiffany's. In other words, what I think he's doing is just rejiggering his positions right now to protect himself and get a leg up down the road in the future. And he's saying, look, we are at historic times. This is one of the, as we all know, the worst times in the stock market, with Washington, D.C. basically acting like some kind of chaotic fire brigade hosing down all sorts of problems with taxpayer money. But, you got to read his letter because it is really, really interesting. He always says what people learn from history is that people really don't learn from history. So, if people could learn from history going forward, there'd be more librarians in the Forbes 400 rich list. But that's not the case. So he's making some smart choices. He's admitting to his mistakes. Very interesting letter, worth reading.
I know. Go online. But also, there's plenty more major news to cover. Big impact on small business owners. And again, that's what we're talking about this week. President Obama's proposed $3.6 trillion budget, the provision in there to raise taxes for individuals earning more than $250,000 a year, threatens small businesses that already pay individual income tax too. This is what we're talking about.
This is a big deal.
President Bush's tax cuts, the way it's laid out in President Obama's budget, for anybody making more than $250,000 a year, those top two tax rates are going back up starting in 2011.
And independent business owners have been the drivers of job growth in this country over the past decade. So how does this news affect them?
Well, we have an all-star panel here to ask that, answer that, and answer your questions. We're joined by Catherine Hall, founder of Hall Wines, a 500-acre winery in the Napa Valley. She's joining us from Los Angeles. And also here, as always, Dani Babb, author of The Accidental Startup and and John Rutledge of Rutledge Capital Partners. And we also want to welcome back Susan Kaplan, founder of Kaplan Financial Services. But Catherine, we wanted to pick your brain just a little bit because you've really worked in part of government as well, because you were ambassador to Austria in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I want to know, as a small business owner, not small business, John Rutledge is over here shaking his head, but I want to know your reaction to the current economic environment and what the government is doing about it.
Clearly, we're seeing some difference in spending habits when it comes to wine. I have a winery, and so our business is we create memories, we create wine, we try to create wonderful experiences. We're finding that people, when they buy wine, are now buying it more in liquor stores, in wine stores, and less in restaurants, more through our wine club. And actually, for us, this creates a real opportunity because the wine business is so much about relationships, and so when we can have this sort of direct contact with our customers, it's really to our benefit.
You know, we're interested in your thoughts, though, on the fact that the tax rates are going to go up on business owners like you. How do you feel about it?
I think actually right now this is an opportunity for us. Clearly, if the economy improves overall, that's going to be better for us and for our whole industry. But the real impact for us is that we have to be value-driven. I mean, consumers want to have value. They want value in their wine. They want value in their experiences, and that's really part of our DNA. So my job is to make sure that we keep our quality, that we continue to make the kind of wines that we love to drink and love to and make, and then just keep focused on keeping the quality where it needs to be and keeping our services really better than ever.
Catherine, stay right there. We just want to welcome our radio listeners. I'm Dagan McDowell along with Elizabeth McDonald, and we welcome you who are listening across this great, great country to Your Questions, Your Money here on the Fox Business Network. The phone number to call, again, we're focusing on business owners, small business, not small. They're over here shaking their heads at me. Not small business.
Real business.
You can call us real business, entrepreneurship. You can call us at 877-249-9626, or you can email us at feedback@foxbusiness.com. This hour, again, entrepreneurship in America. And we're joined by Catherine Hall of Catherine Hall Vineyards in Mendocino County, California, business consultant Dani Babb, and John Rutledge of Rutledge Capital Partners, and also Susan Kaplan, founder of Kaplan Financial Services. Let's go to the phones.
Yeah, let's go to the phones. We've got Joe from Arizona with us on Fox Business. Joe, what's your question?
Yes, ma'am. How y'all doing today?
Hi, nice to see you. I mean, hear from you.
Yeah, I've just started an internet store on. I started it in June, and right now I'm spending most of my money on advertising. But I don't know. Is it the wrong time to start a store like this?
What are you selling, Joe?
Yeah, what are you selling?
I've got general merchandise. I've got a lot of computer products, video games, pocketbooks, backpacks, jewelry, some high-end jewelry, which I probably ought to take off. But
Catherine, what do you think?
Danny.
Danny, sorry.
You know, Joe, this is a fantastic time. I'll tell you why. The online market for the products that you're selling is up about 3% from this time last year. So it's a fantastic time to jump in. With regard to your advertising, I would definitely tweak that out a bit. Last week we talked a bit about search engine optimization, and Tom Snyder from Chivera wrote to us and gave us some more information about how to do advertising and really leverage the internet without it costing you a ton of money. So some things you might want to do to try and bump up your advertising without paying a lot. First of all, jump into those online forums that are free. Get your name out there, get your product, get your service, and get what you are capable of bringing to the customer out there. Second of all, watch what shows up in your page titles, the actual file names of your page. All of this stuff gets indexed. It goes beyond just metadata like we talked about last week, and how frequently the content of the site is changed and uploaded. Make it dynamic for your customers, and cut back on the pay per impression advertising if that's what you're using. Stick to the cost per click advertising so that you're not paying unless someone actually clicks on that site.
Brilliant.
Thank
you.
That
was really comprehensive.
Catherine, because your business is as really old school. I mean, it deals with the earth and agriculture as they get. But how have you been using the internet to grow and market your business? Just recently, any changes that you've made?
Oh, it's a very important part of our business, and it's growing. And I think those in our business in general who use the internet are sooner rather than later are going to be at a great advantage. We're finding more and more people coming to our website, which, by the way, is hallwines.com, and buying our wines online. And I'm in business. Buying our wines online, joining the wine club, and communicating. We do live video. Communications with folks. I do a podcast every week. We have the winemaker on who talks about this is our new wine. This is how this and takes someone through a tasting. It's a really wonderful opportunity.
Joe, I want you also to go and YouTube, go to Twitter, go to Facebook, the Fox Docs on Twitter, right? And
ask us questions. We'll answer them.
We'll answer them. We'll answer them. Emails, Twitter, send them right here live. But you can do that stuff for free. It's just a question of how late are you willing to stay up at night? How long do you want to do it on the weekend? You don't spend a dime, and you have to create a dialogue with those folks, and they will help do the marketing for you. But you've got to recruit them by giving them a chance to fall in love with you.
Hey, a contractor, $10 an hour, a high school kid that knows Facebook and MySpace really well, they'll be really happy, and you'll make a lot more money.
Interesting stuff, gang. Well, we're here to answer your questions. Call us at 877-249-9626, or you can email us at feedback@foxbusiness.com. We're back in a moment. I'm here with Dagan McDowell on the Fox Business Network. Stay with us. Welcome back to Your Questions, Your Money. We're taking your calls on everything entrepreneurship. Call us at 877-249-9626, or you can email us at feedback@foxbusiness.com. On the phone is Michael from Colorado. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing well. How are all of you?
Good. So what's your question?
Well, my question is, I'd like to start a business, and time is limited, so I'm thinking about starting something online, but I don't really have an idea of what I want to do online. So I'm wondering what would be considered like the top 3 or the top 5 online businesses to start.
Dani Babb?
Absolutely. Michael, okay, I'm gonna go a little bit beyond that. I'm going to give you 7. These are the top,
even better.
These are the top 7.
Michael, she's going to charge you for the last 4.
Yeah, but I'm not a cheapskate.
Well worth it. Well worth
I won't charge you like he does. Okay, so first of all, pet care shops. Believe it or not, it's an industry actually doing very well online. Virtual assistants, you can become an online assistant for a business owner and charge them by the hour. You could create a business where you're doing this for many different companies.
Are you hiring then?
Creating, not people on the Fox phone. Bargain hunting sites with affiliate referral fees. Becoming an accounts receivable person for a small business, because business owners often don't want to go after people who owe them money. Graphic design for startups, writing resumes online for people who are laid off, and the one that's popped up this year that's getting very interesting, keep your mouth quiet please, is an online dating site creating profiles for busy executives to help them get dates.
And last but not least, phone sex, $3.99 a minute after midnight. I'm disgusting.
We're
But listen,
G-rated.
no, there's a story we've got to tell you. 3 weeks ago, we had a viewer call in, and the viewer said, I'm a disabled veteran and I want to start a business. I want to work. I don't want to just sit here.
Yeah.
So he says, what can you do? He was an accountant. We said, look, you're not disabled. When there's an internet, if you can get on the phone, you are not disabled. So get out there and do it. Last week, we got another call, an email.
Connecting the people.
From another viewer who said, I heard that guy last week. I really like the look of that guy. I want to hire him in my business. Those are 2 disabled veterans who are now working because they decided they wanted to get it going.
Yeah.
Catherine, I wanted to get your reaction because your family has been in the vineyard business for over 30 years, correct? And nearly 40 years.
Yes.
And so people look at you and say, oh, well, you grew up in the business. It's easy for you. You've got it. That's what some people are surely thinking, Catherine.
Well, actually, it is easy for me, and I wanted to say to the caller that it's really important, whatever you do, is do something that you love and that you relate to, because that's the business you're in, you can anticipate what it is that your customer wants, and you can sort of get out there and give service, because that, at the end of the day, why does someone come to you or to your website rather than somebody else?
Right.
It's because they relate to you and they understand you. And so For the caller, I would say that, and certainly that's the case for me. I
Interesting.
love this
That's a good point. Susan, would you agree with all this?
I hate to be the wet blanket on this entire topic, but I found that many people who lose their jobs decide to start a new job as a default. And the issue is, as you were saying before, you have to choose something that you really love. But also, I encourage you to become involved with the professional organizations in the field, because there are economies of scale. There are shortcuts where you can really learn the contacts, the ins, the outs, the things that you should expect. Most businesses, sadly, over half fail. Most startup entrepreneurial businesses expect to work 8 days a week.
You know, so
all the time.
I'm sorry to interrupt here, but I have to strongly disagree, because professional organizations cost money, and a lot of startups don't have the money to be going out and spending $1,000 to go to a freaking conference and sip Coke all day while they figure out what people in the field want. I think what people need to realize is, if you're leaving corporate America, that's how I started my first businesses, the ones that were successful after the age of 16, because what I was doing in my day job, I was able to take that passion into my own business. And we have a lot of people out there getting laid off that should be starting their own businesses and not going back to Mr. Gilbert and working for corporate America. It's an excellent time. Go for it.
And failing is okay. Failing,
hold on one second.
Most people who start businesses fail not once, not twice, but 11 times.
Yeah.
And then they finally get one that works. I want you guys to go out there and fail like crazy. Try stuff.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Absolutely.
And then you finally will be a winner. They only count the winners, guys. It's okay.
And Catherine, to your point, because you've done it, well, maybe not all, but you've done a lot, because you started your career as an attorney, as a city attorney. You worked at Safeway.
Wow.
You were the ambassador to Austria. So did it take that experience to get you to where you are today, to realize I want to have my own business?
I think you always bring your your past experience to anything you do, but I always knew that I wanted to be in the wine business. I think it started as a kid. I love living on the land. I love the seasons. I love the idea that we can grow a grape, nurture a vine that then becomes wine, that then ends up in a bottle that's at someone's home, wherever they are. It's a dream for me.
Catherine, how is business these days with the economy?
Well, we're still growing. I mean, we've been growing at a very rapid clip over the last 5 years. I think this year we'll still grow, probably at a little bit slighter lower rate, but it's actually very good for us. As I was saying, I think we're nicely placed, because we have always had value as part of our DNA, and I think that really is what the customer, the consumer, is looking for.
All right, thank you so much. We want you guys to stick around. You're a pretty smart bunch here. We're gonna have
Not
more
just
of your...
pretty smart. There are no
very
qualifiers here.
Very smart. Thank you for fixing that.
As I said,
One of us is smart.
One of us
That's
is
the
old
thing.
and one of us is not.
Right.
We're going to have a lot more of your questions when we return. Don't change the channel. Stay with us.
Can I get a howdy? You're watching and listening to the Fox Business Network. Answering your questions about starting a business or running one. We're all over it. On the phone is Robert from Michigan. Robert, what do you want to know?
Well, I just thought I'd call for the heck of it. I was electrical lineman for around 43 years, and I did quite a few other things while I waited for my apprenticeship in the first 8 years. And so I know just about everything there is to know about that business. And what I'd like to do now, since I'm disabled but retired, I either want to start a business with 3 or 4 crews underneath me. I was a supervisor at the end, or near the end. And, I just know...
You want to know how to come up with the money to do it,
yeah,
right?
how do I come up with the money to start this business? And, I know who to contact for the workers. I mean, I was in the unions, electrical workers union for all this time. Even while I was a supervisor, I paid my dues.
Right. Let's ask Danny and John, because I know that you can see John's over here scribbling away wildly.
He's actually
coming
just
up
writing really mean notes.
No, he's coming up with ideas.
So he says, okay, so Robert, wonderful, because you're taking what you know and what you love and turning it into a business. And, okay, here's how you get funds. There's several ways. First of all, the Community Express loan is going to give you up to $250,000 at prime plus 2.25% for 7 years. They're going to get back to you in 36 hours. You do this by going to your local community bank with a 2-page business plan that's going to show your first year business potential profit and loss. Take it to the bank. They're going to run it through the SBA. The next option, I don't know if your disability comes from being a veteran, but if it does, you have the Patriot option, which can pay you up to $500,000 initially, 2.25 over prime. You get it for 7 years and 36-hour turnaround time. The fastest one, though, is the Express loan, 6.5% over prime. So you're paying for that Express, $350,000.
Are banks lending to small businesses?
Oh, they are, and in addition to that, under the new, as much as I'm not thrilled about the spending plan, part of it is $651 million in additional money for small business startup that everyone out there should be taking advantage of and starting their own business.
Some would argue the best use of the government's money.
Right.
Next up, we've got an...
Wait.
Go ahead.
I want to know what John thinks, because he's over there scribbling.
I'm in love with Robert. For one thing, Robert's getting off his butt and trying to do something. Yeah. That's the whole purpose we're trying to do here, is say, don't wait for the government. Don't wait for some big company. Do it yourself. But Danny's right. The government now has put a lot of money on the table. Somebody's going to get it. Go grab it.
It's coming online pretty quickly.
SBA is now giving out money. It's not prying teeth anymore. You can get it quick. So go get a hunk.
Catherine, one last thing. Do you have any advice, like any things that worked for you in terms of raising money over the years and things that didn't work?
I think I would say don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to bring in partners. That's a very it's a very American part of our spirit, I think, that we know that we're creative, and I think part of our creativity comes from knowing that it's okay to fail because you can pick yourself up and start again. But I would say don't look around for other folks who share your interests and, by the way, also your values. That's really important.
Good point, Catherine.
Incredible advice. Thank you for that.
Next up, we have an email. Becky from Kentucky wrote, my son recently opened a chiropractic office. Is there any help for small businesses to keep him afloat? So what do you think, Dani?
Yeah, all of these loans that we were talking about, many of them are used to continue existing businesses. Go check out the 7A program through the banks as well. This is to help with capital to stay afloat if you're an existing business, land and buildings. And if you're going to hire at least one more person to expand the business, you can get even more money. And we're talking a minimum of $35,000, a max of $750,000. There is help.
Chiropractors have to buy a lot of crap to run their business. You need the things that electrify your back. You need all the tables. Capital spending is included in the new government programs, and you can get a bunch of that money. You can also write off past losses against this year's income in this program, and you can expense the capital equipment. So it's a good time to buy stuff. The other thing is you're going to buy that equipment from vendors who are really in trouble right now. Those vendors sometimes have financing arms. Those financing arms will not only finance your sale, they'll finance it and arrange a discount from the mothership for you. That gets them in trouble, but it gets you your equipment.
Interesting, with good servicing deals, I'd imagine, too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Stay with us, everybody. More of your questions, your money. That's what it's about. It's about the you, and you are watching and listening to the Fox Business Network. Stay with us. Catherine Hall is with us of Hall Wines. She'll answer your questions along with these hot shots over here. Straight ahead.
You're back with us live on Fox Business. We're here to answer your questions.
You're going to give me a howdy? You're going to give me a howdy?
Howdy hooty. That's how you do it in New York, not Virginia. How do you do in Virginia?
Howdy. Sounds like Minnie Pearl. Isn't that who did that?
Yeah,
anyway,
I think she did.
It's about your questions.
Small business consultant Dani Babb is here. Also joining us is John Rutledge. She's a little upstart over there, of Rutledge Capital Partners. Susan Kaplan of Kaplan Financial Services. And still with us, Catherine Hall of Catherine Hall vineyards. And on the phone, we've got Alex from Idaho. Alex, thank you for joining us. What's your question?
Hey, guys. First, a big howdy from Boise, Idaho. Thanks
Beautiful.
Yahoo.
Beautiful Boise.
Love those potatoes.
First, Dr. Rutledge, Dr. Babb, I follow both of you guys on Twitter, and I always enjoy watching your media appearances. I love the positive attitude and appreciate the entrepreneurial advice. Basically, give yourself your own bailout, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You can do it. Light the blue flame out your butt,
Alex.
get going, and do it yourself. Don't wait for people.
Amen. Anyways, my question is for you, Dr. Rutledge. I've noticed that China is currently buying up a lot of Southern California real estate foreclosures, and you being an expert on China, I was interested in your advice on do you think this is a sign that that there may be a business opportunity or an investment opportunity there?
Well, in terms of real estate knowledge in California, Dani trumps me, but we aren't going to let her talk on this one. In China, I was in Beijing last week, and I was in actually North Korea last week too. In China, I advise the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They've got $2 trillion. They have to keep it in dollar assets. If they take it out and buy any other currency with it, their currency will drop or rise. They don't want to do that. So some of that money is coming into the U.S., especially to buy companies. They call it the going out program. So you're going to see more acquisitions. The real estate money coming in is from individuals who probably laundered that money through the Cayman Islands out of China back into the U.S. because that's the way they keep their name off of the money export from China, which is illegal. But the money's coming in. Wherever there's bargains like that, you'll find that sharp foreign entrepreneur coming in, scooping things up.
Okay, you know what, Alex?
If this was just propping up the market or if there's a real opportunity there. So it sounds like buying some Southern California real estate foreclosures might be a good idea right now.
Stay out of Riverside and San Bernardino counties. Stay out of Northern California.
In Newport Beach.
Check out Orange County. Check out Los Angeles County. Check out near cities. Stay out of suburbia. I know that market exceedingly well. Stay out of those counties. Stay out of San Diego. Look in the cities. You can find some fantastic deals, 50 to 60% off of 2 years ago's prices.
There's commercial deals, too.
Again,
there's commercial deals now where you can get 8-10% cash yields. You can rip somebody's lungs out with the price, and they will finance it for you.
But, Dani, as we all know, how much prices have fallen is no indication of value.
Right. Absolutely.
The value should be based on, if you're looking at buying and renting it out, what you can rent it for.
Yeah, right. You need to look at rental comps, and you need to look at the comps in the area to find out what the lowest price foreclosure was in that particular
tract.
That's
a good point, Dani, because prices could go down even further from here, right?
Absolutely could. And as you know, as an investor, still looking to buy property myself, I'm holding on to lots of stuff I've had through this crisis, a lot of stuff upside down myself. And a lot of it is just managing your cash flow month to month and writing out the market, but it is a good time to jump in.
Catherine, running and owning a business in California, jump in here.
The wine industry actually is, I'd say, going to be experiencing some drops in sales overall. I think that, and the consumer is going to benefit in the sense I expect the price will come down. The real trick for those of us I'm very focused on is just you have to figure out ways to keep your quality high and just don't sacrifice. And that, in my case, I think that means we'll probably, although we'll grow at a little lower rate. I mentioned that a little bit earlier.
But California economy right now absolutely sucks. It's the tax rates are going up, the jobs are going down, people are moving to Nevada. So as a place to start a business, you really got the wind in your face. It doesn't say don't do it if you can't leave, but it is a pretty darn tough thing, especially with the government.
It doesn't sound like you live there anyway. You're looking to invest there, which is very smart.
Exactly.
Email.
All right, we got Wade from Alabama. He writes, is a detailed business plan imperative to starting and maintaining a successful new business? Let's give that to Ms. Kaplan. What do you think?
A detailed business plan is very important if you need financing. Certainly, you have to have a business plan, but also it really organizes things for you and your staff and for bringing on your staff and bringing on inventory and all of that. So I think a business plan is really critical for you to define where you're going, what the capital you need to do it, and the contacts you need to make.
Catherine, what do you say?
Absolutely, I agree with that. You've got to know you've got to know where you're going, and so you can get there, but you also need to focus. I mean, there's a real tendency, for example, in my industry you're on the land, you could make a Cabernet and a Merlot and a this and a that. No, you really want to focus on what you do best. What is your competitive edge? And I think a business plan helps you do that. Set your goal, do your target, reevaluate, of course, because the market changes, but then reset your plan and follow that.
Here's just another opinion. 75% of the business I've started, I had no plan. I just followed my gut. That's what I usually go off of. I'm not saying that everybody should do that, but don't take 6 months to write a business plan. Jump on it, get it done in 48 hours.
Dinner, right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Get it done over dinner. Do it in 48 hours.
On napkins?
Right.
Napkins are good.
Napkins work.
Napkins are good. Toilet paper, if that's all you got.
Write down the basic stuff. Get it out there. The SBA is not going to require incredibly detailed information. They're just going to want to know you're going to be able to somewhat.
There's another reason you need a business plan. It isn't only to get outside money. You need it to understand your own cash flows, but it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be on a spreadsheet. I have run my own life and businesses, many of them for years, by projecting the cash flows. You run out of cash in this kind of world, and you're dead man. So project your cash flows even a year ahead to make sure you don't run out, because the last guy standing with the cash buys everybody else out in this environment. So you need cash.
And while everybody else is out there trying to save their business, this is the time to jump in and be ready for the recovery.
I like that spirit there, Danny. That was excellent. On the phone, we've got Joy from South Carolina. Joy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I've talked to one of your panelists there before. Over one of the shows, I called her and sent her emails. It was Dani. And I'm still attempting to do what I had talked to her about. I have two passions. One is real estate, and one is green technologies. And not the highfalutin, expensive technologies. Some of the things that homeowners need in their home in order to help with the energy. And I thought with the market, the real estate market the way it is, if I could combine those two things, not for the high-end homes, because they usually take care of themselves, but like for the middle to lower middle in homes, buy them and put in some green technologies, if that would give me an edge. And how would I go about getting funding? Would SBA fund something like that?
They will, and it's nice to hear from you, Ken, and definitely they will. But on top of that, there are also grants for starting businesses now that help with the green stuff. So there's supposed to be a website posted here in the next couple of weeks by the administration that tells you how to get that money. So send me another email. When it comes up, I'll send you a link to it.
In the new budget stimulus plan, there's also money specifically for guys doing what Joy is trying to do. So tax credits.
Tax credits.
And Catherine, I know that the work that you've done with your own vineyard in terms of making it energy efficient, what about the payoff of that?
There's definitely a payoff. But first, let me just say congratulations to you to pursue a business that's green. We have to do it. We want to preserve this land for ourselves and for our children. So I think that's terrific, and I do think it pays off. It used to be when you would say we farm organically. It used to be that when we would tell people that our wines were organic, it was like, oh gosh, that's really wonderful. And it is wonderful. But the fact is, now I think consumers more and more are expecting their wines to be organic, and they appreciate the fact that you try to be responsible. We're building a winery, for example, that's going to be Gold LEED certified. And the response I get from folks when they hear that we're doing that is really positive. I think you're on the right track to look for ways to incorporate your interest in green technology into your business.
Smart stuff here. You're watching Your Questions, Your Money on the Fox Business Network. Remember, you can listen to us on satellite radio on Sirius 145 and XM 168. Right, Dagan?
Absolutely. Stay with us, everybody. Your questions, your money, right here on the Fox Business Network. And we're also not just watching out for you, but watching the news that matters to your money. And just a quick little update that's coming to our partners from the Wall Street Journal, HSBC Holdings. Why do we care? Because HSBC does business here in the United States. The banking giant And it plans to announce on Monday that it will raise at least 12 billion pounds in fresh capital and cut its dividend, illustrating that even banks that have until now remained healthy are getting hit by the global downturn. And of course, there's AIG, which you, taxpayers in this country, essentially own. AIG is expected to announce a quarterly loss of what, Liz? $60 billion.
Yeah, $60 billion.
So again, we're going to probably have to ride to the rescue in a greater way as a nation for AIG, which we own. It'll be the largest quarterly loss in U.S. history. That's what we expect on Monday.
Painful, painful stuff. Next, on the phone, we have Rich from the great state of Indiana. Rich, welcome. What's your question?
Well, I have a successful manufacturing company that's actually based in the United States, and with the new administration, it seems they don't comprehend how most of us run our business income through as a subchapter S corporation, which means we actually do it at our personal tax rate. And since anyone that makes above $250,000 is considered evil or bad in this administration, they don't comprehend that even though our business may make way above that, we're running it through as our personal income, but we don't pull all that money out. We need to keep that money in the business where it's operating income and cash flow. And it's irritating that the government as a whole doesn't really understand how small business operates.
John Rutledge, what would you say to this gentleman?
I think, Rich, you're right on it. The first manufacturing company I ever bought was in Brookston, Indiana. 116 employees. We had 104 shareholders. I love those people. Those people, like Rich, are getting screwed by this new budget and this new government program. People are figuring out, they elected Obama as president. It's like making love with a gorilla. You're not done till the gorilla's done. And the increase in programs, the higher tax rates, income tax, capital gains tax, dividend tax, small business tax, big business tax, foreign and global commerce tax, all of those come out of the little guy running a business. And especially in the subchapter S, there was a specific increase in the tax rates Obama chose to mention the other day about partnership interest, partnership capital gains. You're going to look at increases in tax rates somewhere in the neighborhood of double what you've been paying before. Small business makes 100% of all new jobs in America. So this is a very destructive way
Not 100, but a large majority.
100% of all new jobs, not of all jobs. The Fortune 500 today has fewer employees than they had in 1981. That means small business made more than 100% of 50 million new jobs during that time.
John, I got to tell you, you got great information, but sometimes the wackiest analogies. The gorilla, what's that about? Anyway, let's go to Kaplan. What do you say?
I think it's the done part.
Yes.
Catherine, what do you say?
Creepers.
I think that it took us a long time to get in the financial mess that we're in now, and it's going to take quite a while to get out. And the most important thing we need is to build consumer confidence and to be able to have people have access to credit again. And as that happens, and it's not going to happen overnight, then that's going to be good for business. It's certainly going to be good for my business.
All right, John, I have to say that analogy, many people would find that offensive.
That those people who are
we just need to say it was. I'm sure it was not meant in that.
You didn't mean it.
It's not meant at all, and I don't do politically correct. I don't care who is wanting me to do it. I just don't do it.
All right, I just wanted to point that out.
You got to know that you're going to offend some people. All right, you know we've got.
Life is hard.
Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's just something I wanted to say, Rich. I feel your pain, but I think we have to keep focus on what we can do about it, because that's really what what's going to help us survive. You might want to do what I'm going to do this year, which is invest more in some of the capital, some of the equipment that you might need for the long term. It'll show less profit, and over time you can amortize that. So that's just something we need to focus on what we can do about it in response.
Absolutely. Control your own business.
All right. Mary from Louisiana writes, if someone is in bankruptcy, are there any resources available for them to start a business? And I'm assuming she might mean personal bankruptcy, right?
I'm assuming personal bankruptcy. Yes, there are things that you can do. First of all, when you create your new business, you don't want to use your personal Social Security number because it's going to get run. Your credit's going to get run. You're not going to get a loan. So go and file for an LLC or sole proprietorship in with another tax ID. Get a tax ID it's called an employee identification number. Get one from the government. Start a business under a different tax code.
Susan Kaplan,
with another
hang on,
partner.
John, hang on. Susan Kaplan, you agree?
Yes, and there's also significant funding for small business owners, especially women-led business owners. And so I would definitely apply state and federal, because there are components of this that are really meant to help the small business owner begin.
And for those of us who have like a problem taking money because we're women, you know, there are lots and lots of options out there for you.
All right, next up, we have an email. Dave wrote, I had heard that the Small Business Association was giving $35,000 grants for loans, as long as you promise to hire at least one employee. Is this true? Susan Kaplan, what do you think?
Yes, and I think it's trying to foster a true business and not someone having a single thought or a single service that they want to be subsidized in this way. So I think it's valid. I really do.
Dani is all over this.
It's more than valid. We got a Twitter about this. I'm glad that you emailed also, because we weren't able to get to your Twitters today. But the Community Express loan is the one that's doing that if you're willing to hire at least one person. So go out and get it.
All right, gang. Thank you so much for your insights. Despite the wacky, crazy analogies, we got some good information. Your questions, your money. We'll be right back. Stay with us. You won't want to miss this next segment on Fox Business. Welcome back. This is the Fox Business Network. We're answering your questions all morning long on the
It's morning and afternoon.
In the afternoon. Here we are on the phone. Nick from Texas. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Go ahead.
Nice to meet y'all. I was wondering, I'm afraid of what the policies that are kind of being enacted by our government, and I'm 29 years old with a financial service degree, ouch. And I was wondering, I have $150,000 cash. Should I take advantage of a currency conversion of 2.38 to 1 Brazilian real and start a business in one of the BRIC emerging markets?
No.
John,
Go ahead.
John is all over.
No, I mean, Nick, I admire your energy for wanting to do that. And the truth is, Brazil, India, China are growing and we're shrinking. But you should really only start a business when you know about that business better than whoever you're competing with and your customers. My guess is you probably don't, because I don't also. There's guys in Brazil doing that. There's ways you can sell things to Brazil, and there's ways you can buy things from them. But that's a long ways away. In 1976, I was riding with Bill Simon in the back of a Learjet. He said, Brazil is the economy of the future. And you know what? It always is going to be the economy of the future. So it's dangerous there. Be very careful, Nick.
What do you think, Susan Kaplan?
I think you can certainly take advantage of that by buying an emerging markets mutual fund that will capitalize on the growth of Brazil or any of the other emerging markets. And I think that's a good part for a small part of your portfolio. But I agree with everything else. To make it a business is much too risky.
Catherine, you have been an ambassador in Europe for the United States, traveled the world in terms of business climates and business environments to start and operate a business. Are we still the best? The U.S.?
We are so the best. We are the best. This is the economy. This is it's who Americans are. Is that we're creative. We know it's okay to fail, and we have a sense of community. There's no comparison between starting a business here than others. However, to the caller who's interested in doing something overseas, I want to sort of restate, I also agree you want to only do business in markets that you know and in businesses that you know and that you love. But if you want to move in that direction, then find some other job that can sort of give you information and along the way sort of as a bridge to get to where you want to go.
Right. Good insight. Bill wrote in from Ohio. I have never owned a business. What is the minimum startup cost today? Well, we could actually spend several hours. We could spend several hours on it. It depends on the business.
It depends on the business, where you're doing business, who you're going to hire, if you need to hire, if you're online, if you're on ground. There's so many. I just did a radio show on exactly this topic, and it took 45 minutes to describe it. So I'll put it in a 45-second nutshell. Basically, if you're going to start online, a website is pretty much all you need, and free marketing. So you can put a website up for a couple grand. It could be as cheap as that. You can go as big as starting a couple $1 million brick and mortar business. So it just depends on what you're doing.
Dani, does it depend on the state that you live in too? I mean,
taxes. Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
how expensive it is to do business there and what kind of customer base you have.
Catherine, what about starting, let's say I want to start a vineyard. I'm just going to leave my job. What about the startup cost in your area of expertise?
The startup costs are pretty high. You have to buy the land. You have to know how to farm it. And so I'd say it begins with finding the people who either have the expertise and then finding the right property. And so it's a pretty high barrier to entry in terms of cost. But let me say the most important piece of capital, I think, is right up here. And that is, if you have a great idea, and you have the discipline to follow it, you can find other folks who will go with you.
That's a great point.
It's at the end of the day, it's your own creativity.
Go ahead, John.
There's another way to get in the business too. You can start a winery without vineyards, because you can buy grapes, crush them, and make your own label and make a marketing business. There have been some great successes out there doing that have actually sold their companies and made a bunch of money. So you can take advantage of people who already are in the business, like Catherine, to help do that.
And that holds true for businesses regardless
Everywhere.
of the type.
You bet.
On the phone is Phil from Virginia. Phil, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Phil, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My question is about credit scores.
Okay, hit us.
If you're turned down for a credit card, do you get penalized on your credit score? And if the answer is yes, does that happen every time you're turned down?
Susan?
Yeah, Susan?
I think you're turned down on the basis of your credit card. Yes, the more you apply for, the more it damages you. But if you're turned down even once, you should begin the process of reestablishing your credit rating by seeing any outstanding debts you have and starting to pay them down, by buying prepaid credit cards where you give them $500, they give you a $500 credit card that you use judiciously, and you rebuild your credit rating.
It's going to create an inquiry 5 to 20 points right off the top for every single one that you apply to. So be careful with that. Second thing is, every time you were turned down, it actually shows up turned down. That looks bad. So wait a while, wait 12 months, wait 16 months, and then when you do go reapply, do it either with a secured card or do it at a department store where they're eager to get people in to help you establish. But don't just keep...
Every time I go to buy pantyhose at Saks, they say, you can get... I was like, do I really... I'm not opening a credit card to get 10% off a pair of pantyhose.
Purchase.
No, on that, I wanted to keep this on those small business, everybody. Because, again, people turn to their credit cards to start small businesses. And in this environment, you know...
Scary stuff.
Danny?
It's tough. It can cost a lot more money. Before you do it, if you're going to do it, which I'm actually have stated here many times, I'm a big proponent. I've done it myself many times. My credit report reflects it too. So what you can do is call the bank. Before you do it, they may be in the process, and this just happened to me recently, of sending you a letter saying that your cash advance rate's going to go up. You haven't gotten the letter yet, but your rate went up. You took the cash advance, didn't know. So call them before you do it and find out what your current rate is, because it may not be different. It may be different than it was last week.
Catherine, I just want you to give any budding entrepreneur, any business owner right now, just a final word of advice and encouragement.
Yeah, what would you tell them?
Do what you love. Concentrate on value. That's value in terms of the product. If there's a product involved, give value in terms of service. Recognize that whoever is coming to you could be going someplace else, could be spending their time someplace else. So give them more than they expect. It's that little extra piece of that extra gift that's going to make someone come back, because what you want is a customer who is with you today when the economy is bad, because they'll be with you when the economy is good for sure.
That's great advice.
Just
terrific. Keep the fire going.
Yep.
Say that again. Don't say that under your breath, son of a voce. Say it out loud, Dani Babb.
Don't let anyone kill the fire. Your boss? Give him the finger. I don't care. Go out there and get what you want. Don't wait on the government. Don't wait on somebody else. Don't wait on your business partner. Just go do it.
John Rutledge, you
Kick
do more
butt,
than shake
take names.
All right.
Period.
And
Period.
the story.
And by the way, we're here every week to discuss this very topic. Starting a business, running one, getting fired up. That's what we're about here at the Fox Business Network. Some great thanks to Catherine Hall, but also Dani Babb. Dani Babb and John Rutledge are here every week. Also,
And
Susan Kaplan, thank you so much. We will be back, and Liz McDonald Monday morning, the Fox Business Network kicks it off. Plus, you can be with us all week, Monday to Saturday.